Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another ARPneuro Q&A. My name is Jake. I'm the ARPneuro trainer, and we have our CEO with us, Matt Dell. Matt, always good to see you. How have you been, sir?
Fantastic. How you doing, Jake?
I'm doing well, and we have another exciting athlete, so I'm glad you're with me to help delve into his background and his success.
I got to tell you, I am very, very pumped for our next guest. I can't wait to get his background, find out a little bit about him, and really kind of let our listeners know a little bit about his success with his craft. So really excited.
You ready? You want me to just jump into it? Let's
jump on in. Yeah, let's tell our listeners a little bit about who we've got on today and
perfect.
However you want to introduce him.
You got it. Here we go. This professional athlete has quickly made a name for himself as one of the most promising arms in New York Mets organization. He's a standout pitcher, and he started at the University of Florida, where he developed a reputation for his pinpoint accuracy, dominant fastball, and relentless work ethic. Since being drafted to the Mets, he has continued to impress at every level. His elite control, smooth mechanics, and competitive mindset have helped him climb the ranks, drawing attention as a future staple in the Mets pitching rotation, also where he's painting the corners with precision or racking up strikeouts with his devastating slider. He brings a level of poise and confidence that makes him stand out. Off the field, he's just as dedicated. He takes a scientific approach to training, recovery, and performance while consistently working on refining his craft and gaining an edge. Using methods like ARPneuro therapy, he ensures his arm stays strong and his body remains in peak condition for the long haul. Right now, here's a brief introduction. Please give a warm welcome for New York Mets pitcher Christian Scott.
Scott is the name. One of the most highly touted New York Mets pitching prospects in the last decade is getting the ball today.
Now that's some nasty stuff on those pitches. Christian, great to have you today.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
That's fantastic. Great intro, Jake, as always.
That's awesome.
Love seeing it, and I got to tell you some nasty stuff you're throwing there.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, the Mets have been great to me. Learned a lot of my repertoire after I got drafted. Really, the Mets have helped a lot with that. But yeah, feeling really good overall. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I always love to jump in and say, okay, give us your backstory, tell us where you're from, all the fun stuff that led you to becoming a professional athlete.
Yeah, so I was born in South Florida. Played in the South Florida landscape, a travel ball. We're playing during the summer. It feels like you're playing 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. But it's just with the sunshine here, take advantage of it. So really grew up in the South Florida area. A lot of good competition over here. I went to high school in Fort Lauderdale at Calvary Christian Academy. Was fortunate enough to win a couple state titles there, and then go to University of Florida after that.
Go Gators!
Go Gators! Yeah, I love it. I had a lot of fun over there at UF. The team was great. I mean, the good thing about there was, everybody's really talented that goes to that school. And we're all just pushing each other every single day, whether that's in fall ball or practice. One thing that our coaches had us doing was we're scrimmaging every day in fall ball, and that really helps bring out the best in the competition in the competition aspect of it. I think that helped a lot, really, for my minor league career and my major league career moving forward. But yeah, I got drafted in 2021. I had a feeling that I could make it. There was definitely some things I needed to work on. I really only had a fastball and slider in college. Didn't make too many starts there. Was mostly in the bullpen because I only had those two pitches. But really got to the Mets, and it was really now or never. So being able to really throw that fastball at the top of the zone, incorporated a sweeper at the beginning of last year. and a changeup the year before that. So it feels like every year that I've been in the system, they've done an unbelievable job, really just giving me tools to be able to go out there and get outs. And also just with the routine oriented part of it and with the weight training that we do, they do a great job of, helping us take care of our bodies, and just giving us everything that we could possibly need to be able to, stay on the field and keep us healthy, and help us with our performance. So honestly, super blessed. What an unbelievable organization the Mets have been to me. So I'm just super blessed and honored.
Now, as a kid growing up, were you always a pitcher? Did you play other sports? Tell us a little bit about your experience growing into baseball.
Yeah, so I always liked baseball growing up. I hit and I pitched for a little while, but early on pitching, I couldn't. If you stood me on the beach and said throw the ball in the ocean, I couldn't do it. I'd probably miss for you. So so it took me a little while to definitely tone in the pitching side of it. But I've always been able to throw pretty hard, being able to have pretty good control for the most part during high school. So I played basketball a little bit growing up. I love basketball. It really helped me stay in shape a lot. I was in high school early on, and I got shoved in the bleachers of going up for a layup, broke my wrist, so that was the end of that. Yeah, we thought baseball was the best option going forward. So I had a lot of fun playing basketball. I'm a huge hockey fan growing up. I'd never really played hockey down in Florida. Don't really have a lot of ice around here, so definitely baseball was the best pick for me. But yeah, I fell in love with it from an early age. My dad played in college, so he really just instilled that love of the game for me. My mom and my dad grew up in the Northeast, so we were Red Sox fans growing up. Got to go to a lot of those games when I was younger. Had a lot of family in Boston, so super excited, super blessed, humbled really to be able to be in this position, and excited where it's going to take me.
That's awesome. And you said your dad played baseball?
Yeah, my dad played in college at St. Leo for a year and UCF for a year, so he's got a little nice experience. Nice. Yeah.
Awesome. So he gets to live vicariously through you now that you're
right.
big.
Exactly. Yeah. I made a joke with him in high school. I was like, Dad, I think I could strike you out at any point now. So,
I've seen a lot of videos, doing some of that editing, and I would have to agree. I think you can strike out anybody.
Now I got to ask, did you attempt it? Did he even give you a shot at trying to? No.
In high school, we used to try to play catch, and he was not being able to catch it as well because I was throwing it harder. And he's like, you know what? I'm never going to get in that box. So
I love it.
Playing catch and hanging out. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's great. So tell us a little bit, how your journey. I mean, obviously, the Mets organization, it sounds like you're very astute to, working out and keeping your body fit. And tell us a little bit how you came even to, I understand you had an injury or something, and how did that lead you to ARPneuro?
Yeah, so I originally got hurt in July last year. Had an elbow flare up. Ended up getting Tommy John surgery in September. I had a little bit of experience with ARPneuro going back to high school. Actually, I used it in high school, and I was looking for velo jump. Really, I was looking to try to find efficiencies in my delivery and use the ARPneuro in that way to be able to find. I would do pitching motions left-handed, slowed down, be able to really get in sync with my core and my scap, and be able to be super not dialed in. Dialed in is not the right word, but feel connected really, especially just move more fluid and things like that. And I end up having a 4 to 5 mile an hour velocity increase pretty much within 2 or 3 weeks. So it's obviously it's a great first impression for the machine for sure. But when I got hurt originally, I came down with our rehab coach, Jeremy Kivel, and he had an ARP set up. And I said, no, I'm using that. That's going to be one way it's going to take me take this injury and help me get better and move faster along in the recovery, and also be more like confident in the way that my recovery was going. I've been using it pretty much. I want to say we gave it about 3 weeks after surgery before I started to use it, but we started using the ARP pretty much a month after surgery, and I've been using it pretty often since then. Be able to do a lot of activation with it and a lot of recovery with it. I think there's multiple ways that you can go around with the machine. You can do it when you're working out. You can do it when you're recovering. You can do it when you're activating. I've seen throughout multiple people in the league. A lot of people in the league like to use the ARP for activation purposes. They'll get in, they'll put it on their arm, they'll move it around, do some bands, and they're ready to go. Right. A lot of other people like to do it for recovery purposes, where maybe it's like something nervy is going on in your shoulder, or your back, or something like that. You go on, you do some exercises, you can strengthen your core, and it helps a lot, helps drastically, really. So I'm just, being able to take that machine and, incorporate it in my routine, being able to have one of them myself, I'm super blessed and honored to be able to, take this machine and use it and have success with it really and be able to feel genuinely well doing it. The recovery aspect has been unbelievable since I've been using it. I've started throwing about 3 weeks ago and feels like I didn't miss a beat. So it's being able to super nice to be able to, you know, get those throws under me and start building, then ramping back up and, you know, feeling great overall. So I've got nothing but great things to say.
Yeah, I think it sounds like you take full advantage of the pre, post, and recovery. And it's amazing because as we're around in all the locker rooms around the league and the MLB, how many pitchers specifically are utilizing that to strengthen. I'd like to ask Jake, because there's so many different, there's so much intricacy into throwing and trying to get a little bit stronger and a little bit faster. You know, Jake, love to get your take on, you know, how that works and why that works, because, you know, we've seen it in so many professional pitchers and pitchers in general of how they're strengthening all those areas. Could you kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, and one thing I'll say on a just kind of sort of a one-off statement, the pitchers have done a great job in helping us sort of redefine, you know, some things we've done with it for the course of years. We took a search protocol, and you're talking about muscle activation with the clamshell pad, and they just took it upon themselves to kind of use that because they realized that helped fire up a lot quicker than just placing sticky pads. We've made that a protocol based on, you know, the need for the pitchers. And, you know, kind of to your point, Matt, you know, the fact that it's able to run on a direct current wave, very harmonious with the way your brain contracts a muscle. The beauty of this, and this is one of the reasons and a lot of feedback we get, you know, in particular from pitchers, is that they're able to not only fire up a muscle quicker than just doing a warm up with something just like resistance bands, but you can go through a movement, you know, and unlike any other like traditional therapy, it's more passive. And you're getting some recovery on a passive level. That's sure, you can certainly do that. But on an active level, to get yourself ready for bullpen or for a game, there's just nothing that I've seen on the feedback where the pitchers can see something better or faster. So I think the efficiency of how quickly they can warm up has been a factor in being able to use this for the activation, you know, specifically to Christian's point. I hope I'm on point to some degree on that. Is that true, Christian?
100%. Yeah. And also just with us, like you're talking about with the movement pattern, you know, with an injury like this, like you're not throwing for about 5 or 6 months before you can even toss a baseball. So being able to have that movement pattern of, you know, put the pads on the shoulder and the scap and you're moving your arm just like a throwing motion, right? But you don't need a baseball, and that helps train your body to be able to repeat that delivery in the same way. So like you're not throwing a baseball, but you're also being able to use this, be able to train your body, train your nervous system, train your muscle system, be able to realize and see this is what the throw is supposed to look like. You know what I mean? You don't actually have to throw a baseball and have to just put that stress on your elbow. You can hook the machine up, do a couple movement things with it. Throw, like you can do slow motion moves with it. Right-handed, you can go left-handed if you want to work on the opposite side of your body to try to, you know, even out that scap muscle group as well. So just so many different things that you can do and really be able to use it any way that you want to.
Yeah, I think awesome. It's amazing. This direct current is still kind of, I like to say this, I probably do it in every podcast we have, is it's still the best kept secret in professional sports, weekend warriors, pickleballers, because it is amazing how much and how much it can help, you know, enhance performance and more importantly, recovery. It is amazing, especially we've got so many pro athletes now that to your, you know, example of getting that speed, getting strength, you know, which is so critical. I'd love to get your insight on, I mean, it is so hard to make it to the league, right? And it's amazing how, you know, a half a mile an hour fastball can literally make or break an athlete. And tell us a little bit about, you know, that and the experience. I love if you can elaborate on the, you know, how you were able to get a little bit more momentum out of that fastball.
Yeah. So like the hardest part about being a big leaguer obviously is, you know, the consistency part of it. You know, it takes every single day. It really does. You know, I mean, there's no shortcuts. There's no, you know, maybe I'll take this day. Maybe I'll be a little bit lighter here, not do this here and there. It really does take every day. And so it's the part that's challenging and also like helps with, you know, injuries and things like that is we're all constantly chasing velocity. Like there's never going to be a point where like, oh, that's enough. You know what I mean? Or there's never going to be a point where if your slider, oh, that's moving enough horizontally, right? So people are constantly chasing that number. And if you're not going to do it, somebody else is going to do it, right? So you're constantly trying to chase that and continue to, you know, put yourself on a pedestal to be able to have that opportunity and be able to have success at that level. But that, unfortunately, that comes with a lot of elbow injuries. That comes with a lot of shoulder injuries because we're pushing our bodies to that limit. And so I think this does a really, really good job of being able to help take that force and apply it through your entire body rather than, just put so much blunt force on that elbow or so much blunt force on that shoulder. Really be able to use your entire body. And you can tell in the deficiency too. I've used it with a couple of my friends. Like I'll run them through slow motion and they're like, wow, my hamstring's flaring up. I'm like, yeah, it's weak. You know what I mean? So it's like be able to really use this and be able to find deficiencies in the delivery and really be able to use your whole body. Because if you don't end up doing that, and this is an unbelievable tool to be able to do that, but if you don't do that, then that's a really, really big risk for injury moving forward down the line, especially if you're chasing these numbers and you're chasing this spin and you're chasing these horizontal and vertical movements that, it's really, really tough to do consistently. And so when you're pushing your body to that limit, to be able to have a weapon really to go back and, put this on and be able to continue to apply force to my body and trust that force, right? It's super special.
Yeah. And I think, and Jake, I'd love to get your input. Compensation is so critical, right? So to your point, an athlete, a pitcher or whatever, they're going to do everything they can for that velocity or for whatever they're trying to do. The reality is they've got any compensation going on anywhere in the body, whether it's a hamstring, a glute, a shoulder, there's potential injury that's going to come. And Jake, I'd love to get your insight on how, this device, and I think, what did you call it, Christian? The magic bullet? What?
The weapon.
The weapon. Okay.
Yeah, I meant to address that. I love that.
The weapon. Okay, our new name. We're gonna have to change the name because of Christian. But the weapon. Jake, tell our listeners a little bit. It is amazing how much this can integrate with all the different compensations, and love to get your insight.
Yeah, and Christian, you kind of alluded to it, probably, realizing that very fact. One thing I'll say about pitchers, they're very in tune with their body. They know when there's a breakdown. I found pitchers to be very easy to work with this device for that very reason. And you talked about, kind of throwing that pitch to the other side. So if you're a lefty, you're going to pitch right-handed to kind of open up that scap a little bit on the other side, if there are in fact some imbalances. So that's one way we end up using this device, where you're kind of retraining some of the other side because you're just overusing that one side so much. It's become your physical weapon, your whip, so to speak, for your livelihood. But, coupled with that, this does have the ability to diagnose certain points where you can find breakdowns before they actually happen. And it's a good preemptive strike. You call it a weapon. I couldn't agree with you more. It's certainly a weapon against major injuries and sometimes you can't avoid aches and pains and little pinches and, little tweaks and things that are bitey, but it's the major injuries that pull you back. And this has the ability to keep that from happening. It's that preemptive strike to a major injury because it gives you that information to say, my VMO is not firing. Let's see what we can do around the knee to get that going. So that way it's absorbing force so I can make sure that my range and my pitch is going a lot better. And that's just one example of many of what we found with the athletes to try to avoid those major injuries.
Yeah, when you talk about compensating too, like that's a huge part of it, because when you're pitching and when you're a thrower, like you're rotating the same side over and over and over again, but you never rotate the other way, right? So you're constantly training your body to rotate one way, but your body's never going to be able to rotate the other way the same way, right? But if the more that you can train that, be able to have stronger core in that way and stronger obliques and things like that, to be able to increase the force of your rotation, be able to put more force out, be able to have that sustained velocity. It's super important, like you said.
Good point.
Yeah, that's great stuff. Well, this is, I tell you the magic bullet. I love it.
The weapon.
Weapon.
Christian, one of the things I like to ask a lot, just because you're a young guy, you went through the ranks, you broke through a lot of glass ceilings. There's a lot of other young people that use our device that are they're high school age. They're coming up. Some of them are collegiate. What's some advice you would give to those younger athletes that are watching this?
You got to fall in love with the suck. You really do. Because like when you're working out, right, it's a 6 a.m. on a Thursday and your coach is pushing you don't want to be there. That's the day that makes your whole week, right? Because once you finish that workout and you're finished with that workout, that's a sense of confidence. It's a sense of accomplishment, and you take that confidence, you take that accomplishment to the rest of your routine. So it's really like it's really easy when it's going well. Right? It's super easy. Like when you're throwing well, when you're hitting well, when you're playing well, it's the easiest game in the world, right? When it's hard, it's the hardest game in the world, and it's like that for a reason, because it's a game of failure, and at the same time, those failures are going to come. It's going to be constant failures, and you have to get up. get up every time. You know what I mean? Because the amount of times that you're going to get knocked down, you have to get up because somebody's going to get up, right? Somebody's going to continue to fight back from that struggle. And if you want it to be you, it's got to be you every single time. So it's just the consistent part, the consistency part of your routine, your weight training, your diet. It's really just, for me, what really set it apart was in high school, I was sitting down with my high school coach. You know, it's like I wasn't taking my diet really seriously. I was really skinny, and you know, I was throwing hard, but like I was constantly dealing with like these minor things because I didn't really have a great diet, didn't really have a great arm care routine. But sat down with him, and it's really just about, you know, there's gonna be days that it sucks, and that's great, right? And you have to have that mindset. You're so excited for the sucky days because those are the days that mean the most to you. You know what I mean? So I really took that to heart, especially, you know, when you're on the mound, when you get a home run, right? There's going to be a next pitch, right? So every time you go out, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. You just got to be as consistent as you possibly can.
Boy, great answer. You know, and I would almost say even the maintenance side, because you're like, think of it, I always think of it as like your arm's like the race car or the engine. You are the engine, and you always have to maintain it. So I would almost say even maintenance works into that because a lot of people overlook it. You know, which kind of goes to your point of like making sure you're on top of like some of the breakdowns and using the technology that's qualifying that and helping the maintenance.
100%. Yeah.
Well, that's great. What a great, I mean, this has been fantastic. I love it. Love you taking time out. Are you in Florida now, or where are we catching you at?
Yeah, I'm out in Florida right now. Rehabbing down the St. Lucie complex. Going to go up New York for opening weekend. So hang out there with the team for a little while, but alternating rehab right now between New York and Port St. Lucie. So get my travel miles in for sure.
Nice.
I love it. Well, we're rooting for you. Excited that we're able to help you, and love that you came on and shared your insights with our listeners and our audience. So
it means a lot. Thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Christian. So much.
Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your day.
Hey, you too.
Thanks.